Vanessa, that's a good question. I have not heard anything from her. I've sent out the invitations and emails. I do think there are several people who were in the original group who just either stopped coming or stopped replying. I do know this time was an issue for her. And I just think, I should probably follow up to many of the people who were in the original group and say, are you still interested? What the issue is. But as of right now, I would say no, unfortunately. Um, yeah. But we did have Scott and who was the IT person for the city of Burlington. And was it Kathleen who was going to be on her, but I don't see her either. But in any case, we can get started. Welcome to the meeting. Right now, my name is Nate Bizzaio. I am the chair of the committee, and I work for the Vermont Center for Independent Living. I'm just going to go around the room so people can introduce themselves. So I'm going to go according to my left. So Ethan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ethan Fellows. I'm outreach coordinator at CEDO, and I assist this committee with administrative tasks.
Vanessa.
Hi, everyone. Vanessa Santos Eugenio. I work for the City of Burlington in the Human Resources Department. I'm our Talent, Development, and Diversity Manager, and lots of other things, but those are just the three in the title.
And here is Catherine. And Sophie, you are next.
Hi, I'm Sophie Sauvé. I'm the Parks Comprehensive Planner, Parks, Recreation, Waterfront. And yes, I'm here. Sorry, it's a Monday.
Max, this is a new one. Max, hello.
Hi, Nate. I'm Max Madalinsky. I also work for Burlington's Parks and Recreation Department as a project coordinator, and Sophie asked me to be on here because we're going to be talking about playgrounds.
Awesome. Awesome. Laura.
Hello, my name is Laura Siegel, Director at DAIL for Deaf, Hard of Hearing, Deafblind.
And Catherine.
I'm Catherine Schad, and I am the Chief Administrative Officer at the City of Burlington.
All right, welcome everyone. So I think you had a chance to view the meeting minutes. And for the last meeting, and I did send out an agenda. I am just going to share it very quickly, just so we just have a good look at it. Then I will take it off. It is not really super robust one, but I do want to share it. So I guess the first thing would be news and updates. I think we should share any updates of the playgrounds for later. I don't know if there's any news and updates that any of the other committee members want to share. I will share that in terms of promoting the committee, I did work on, setting up a meeting with the presentation to the MPA. I believe that's what it's called. And it looks like I didn't hear anything back about it in October because basically it's done on, I can't remember if it's a Tuesday or Wednesday, each of the districts. So I did not do anything for November because it's right before Thanksgiving. So since we're, near the end of October, I'm hoping we'll get something there for December. Basically hoping to, I just sent a presentation discussing what the committee, what the committee is about, what we're doing, and maybe, providing some, more details about, what we are and what we plan to do. So it doesn't look like we're going to be doing that until December. Like I said, I submitted it back in, I was in September. I haven't heard anything back. I don't know if anybody, I can certainly try it again or get in touch with the contact Ethan sent me. But that's where we stand now. And I was going to start emailing announcements about the meetings now that we have a little bit more thing through the front page forum pages that we have and start getting a little bit more traffic viewed on that. I don't know. That's pretty much the only updates I have from my end. That's going to be outside. I know a lot of this is going to revolve around the parks, but does anybody else have updates they want to provide of any citywide stuff or statewide stuff regarding might be of interest to this committee or in terms of accessibility? Don't all jump at once. Okay. So moving on, I think we have discussed this for a while. It looks like we are still getting some new people for the city. But we have discussed about opening up to potential new members to join the committee. And we had Catherine on here. I know Scott, and do not see Scott here. We had a good talk about the last meeting about making the website accessible. I did send him some links for consultants that may be able to, make sure the City of Burlington website is ADA compliant and beyond. I know he said he was working on that, and I think we were, talking about also moving the ADA coordinator position somewhere more into general admission outside of HR and providing some information on that. So that was that. I also know that we had talked about having somebody from the planning, what was the planning? And Catherine, I don't know if you had any updates about that, about trying to see if we could get any other city from projects. What's the word I'm thinking of about like
I think we were thinking of DPW, Department of Public Works.
Yeah.
And I don't think I heard back from Chapin on that. So let me ensure I have someone for our next meeting. I think that's really on me, probably not on DPW. So adding it back to the list, and I will do my best to get us someone for next time.
Okay, great. Okay, great. And I also think that hopefully if we, we do the MPA, maybe that'd be something we can get people out. It seems like we're getting more and more people to the different departments for the city. I would really like to get some more Burlington community members. I do know that we got a few people who initially started showing up who aren't showing up anymore. So it'd be great to try to get the word out. Oh, did we ever get in touch with who is in charge of the Burlington Accessible Committee Facebook page? That's an interesting question. I actually did not follow up on that. I sent an email to somebody and they sent something back and they kind of said, oh, well, just forward me any information you have regarding upcoming stuff. I'm like, okay, that's great, but who are you? So I need to follow up on that because they said, I'll just send me so I can send something back. But there is you could send a direct message to them through Facebook. So I do think that's somebody. If it is somebody doing stuff, at the very least, we should know who it is so we can send updates to. But I almost feel like they should be attending these meetings as well.
Right.
Yeah,
to me, it seems almost like an official page that's representative of the city. So that person should be at least part of this committee, if not somehow staffed by the committee.
Yeah. And also that my understanding it used to be somebody for Parks and Rec. And Emma was the contact. After Emma left, I don't know if this person also left and is still doing it. So I don't know whether it is, but I never followed up on my reply to her reply because even though I asked, I kind of said, hi, I'm just getting in touch. What do you think? Who is this? She said, oh, I'm doing the update. You can send me anything. And I did not say, okay, but who are you? And this is part of the committee. So I do think that is something I will follow up on to make sure about it. Because you're right, Vanessa. I also don't want somebody handling, what's considered an official City of Burlington Facebook page. And what they're posting is relevant, but a lot of it also seems to be like national and citywide stuff, but not really super local to Burlington. So we kind of want to make sure about that. Yeah, well, that's what I had initially. So let me just look at what y'all could see. Laura says, the Facebook says that they have multiple admin, might as well send a message to them by inbox. That's how I originally reached out. So that's why I just sent them an email to the page and they sent back to me. And yeah, right there. I honestly never got back to their reply. So I will reply. Yeah. Because I obviously think that's the best way to also promote the committee and get it out. Although I don't know how many people still use Facebook. Apparently, it's an old person's game now. So it's doing the Twitter and Instagramming thing right now. But I think for the most part, that would be, touching base on that. So, okay, so we're getting somebody, and so it's also just who are you calling old? Me, actually, Laura. I'm calling me old. I'm actually myself. My wife is always doing the Instagram thing, and I'm just on Facebook, so my wife calls me old too. So, you know, so and again, it'd be good to get the word out to try to get more community members to participate. Yeah, I don't know how to TikTok. Yeah, join the party. That's the only thing. I just another social media thing to join. But it's all about getting members, and I think also trying to get somebody from the school district. I think that was an initial plan as well, to get the schools involved, especially if things move more forward with the high school and things like that. I think that's something that we really want to get a lot of involvement in this committee on. So that is just some more things to think about in terms of outreach. So if anybody knows people maybe to reach out to, I would be happy to try to send a introduction thing, or if anybody knows people to reach out to, or if people want to invite them to join the committee, that would be great. Another thing I also thought about was you used to have members of AARP, a member representative for AARP, and I can try to reach out to somebody from there to represent that group. But I almost don't want to make it too big, because I think the more people we get, the more kind of cluttered. But I do think we want different representatives from different people, different organizations, different representatives from different people. I'm on a lot of night cold, folks, so I've had a cold, so I'm cloudier than usual. So anyway, that's kind of where we are right now. I know that we want to let Sophie and Max talk about a number of things that's going on with the accessible playground. So Sophie and Max or whoever can go, and let me know if there's anything you want to share. I can certainly make you co-host if you want.
Co-host would be great, Nate. Max, did you want to start? I had more of a request for talking about the fitness equipment that's going to go in at Oakledge.
Yep.
Specifically. And Laura, you gave me a nice big list of homework, but I haven't done it all yet since it was only Thursday.
Yeah, so I can get started. My main topic that I was going to bring today is for our next playground that's on our to-do list to enter construction on after Oakledge is completed, is at Champlain Street Park, which is a little pocket park. Yeah, just to give a little update on that and what kinds of things we're thinking about putting out a request for when we put that project out to bid. So let's see if I can share screen.
Yep.
All right, can you see that all right?
Yep.
All right, so this is a rough rendering of some renovations we have planned for Champlain Street Park. Does everybody know where that is, out of curiosity? Are you familiar with that at all?
If you could just give me specifics, yeah.
A couple of seconds here, I can go back to an earlier part. This is a presentation I gave a couple weeks ago. So this is sort of a map of where it's at. It's 187 South Champlain Street. So this is King Street here, Maple Street here. Then it would be Champlain Street, Pine, and I think this is Battery right there. And so mid-block here on Champlain between King and Maple is Champlain Street Park, which looks a little bit like this bottom picture on this slide right now. And we've been doing outreach on this park for several years now, and we have moved through design and are kind of in permitting phase right now. Sorry, I'm just going to keep going back to playgrounds and trying to get onto this topic. This is just kind of a rough plan of what we're looking at doing at the park, putting in a large concrete pad with some accessible picnic tables up at the front, and then a walkway that comes out to a playground area surfaced with rubberized surfacing. And that's sort of the rendering of what that looks like. It's a really long, skinny lot, very narrow and deep. It used to be a residential lot that had a house up front. And so we're a little bit limited in terms of space of what we can do here, but this is kind of along the lines of what we're thinking. So you would have the sidewalk right here. So if you were right on the edge of that sidewalk looking into the park, this is a little bit of what that would look like with that concrete pad up at the front, and then the curving walk back to the poured in place surfacing and the playground structure. Moving onto the playground, we've been so far looking a lot at things that have open arching structures and fewer opaque play panels and things that can't be seen through as easily. We've heard a lot about security concerns from the neighborhood here. And so this is loosely the kind of thing we're thinking about right now, and we wanted to get some feedback on that. We're going to be putting this out to competitive bid. So this isn't exactly what it'll look like, but this is kind of hinting at some of the different types of structures we're thinking about and how they might be arranged together. So we're picturing sort of a main structure that's designed for kids in like the 2 to 5 year old age range, trying to keep everything relatively low and as much at ground plane as possible. We've heard a lot about people wanting some type of swing in this park, and so we're including one of the group swings that's, I think, somebody from a mobility device can transfer into. I'd welcome your feedback on that, Nate. If you have any experience with those or know anybody who has used that particular device and how easy it is or isn't to get into and out of. And then lastly, this is, you can kind of see it in here. It's like a little play cube type thing. It's sort of a structure that would be more designed for kids to climb on and for a slightly older age range of kids. So kids who are more like 5 to 12, that age, but sort of having the main focus be around something ground level, lots of ground level play elements, and designed for younger kids here. So
Yeah, that's really cool. So regarding the swing, I mean, I certainly don't transfer onto the swing, but I think, you know, I've known people who have used that swing. Obviously, for certain people and certain sizes and certain devices, it's not going to work well. But those people who can, whether it be para, and I'm more thinking about, you know, people with young kids are able to kind of pick up and put their kids on the swings. I think it's worked well. If that's the crowd we're looking for, you know, I guess one thing is how, you know, the one thing is how do you take the swing element out of something for a swing, but for secure transfer, you know, kind of keep it mobile and kind of keep it still for somebody transferring. And then the devices are, so to answer your question, I think it's not going to be for everybody, but I think given the age range that you're going for, I think it would be a good element to add to it. And I guess my feedback would be it would be nice, you know, looking at the diagram is really good. I don't know if there'd be a way to get somebody like either members of this committee or other people out to look at it live at different stages, like rather than it's finished, maybe get somebody to look at the initial. I mean, no, it's winter, so I always thought, but maybe when the ground is the initial stages in the early, have somebody come out and look at it live, to give it a feedback and take a look at it and to get a better idea, and then, you know, coming back, you know, later on. Because I almost feel like sometimes if you look at it, you don't want to come look at it too late, but you don't want to come at it too early. So, and I don't want to put a monkey wrench in everything, but this looks good. I do like the arcing because it will allow people to get underneath it. And I'm actually, as a father of a 2-year-old, I'm actually happy about the height because my son seems to want to climb as high up as he can get, and it's kind of like, okay, you're gonna kill yourself there, buddy. Don't go up super high there. Um, but I mean, everything seems wide open, but he has a diagram code, so it's kind of hard to kind of tell by that. But I definitely appreciate the surfacing and the wide openness of it, and the picnic tables. That's my feedback. I don't know if anybody else has any feedback.
Nate, can I ask a clarifying question?
What's that?
Can I ask a clarifying question
Yeah.
about wanting to do a site visit? So usually we never catch the right cycle for bidding things out, but for this one, we seem to be really poised to put it out to bid soon so that it can be constructed in the spring, and then it'll also affect costs. Costs will be better if we bid it sooner. There have been some changes already made in the park, nothing internal, more of the new fencing has been installed. A lot of the vegetation that was there has been removed, so it improves the visibility. I'm just wondering if there's a possibility of visiting the site sooner than later. The surface is not accessible right now, it's grass. Correct me if I'm wrong, Max.
Yeah.
But it would still give you the idea of how kind of narrow and deep the park is, and what kind of the constraints we're working against. I don't know if that's a possibility, but we would certainly welcome the opportunity to have anyone visit the park with us.
Yeah, certainly. And I think this is where I definitely like it. Yeah, and again, it's hard to look at, but it would be interesting to just look at the ground layout and the floor plan just to kind of get an idea. And I do agree it should be sooner than later. And I get what you're saying like that. I can certainly try to make time out of my schedule. It'd be really good to get. I'm just trying to think of other people. Sophie, I don't know if you reached out to anybody part of the Oakland for All committee to maybe see if they might be able to have somebody to come and do a site visit, and we can arrange some of the stuff with that. So like people with children with disabilities
Yeah,
could
that'd
come
be
look
great.
at that. So I'm certainly game with doing that because we don't want to get it too cold or anything like that. And again, I certainly understand that the fielding's not going to be an issue. The ground obviously you can't do it yet, but it would just be a good idea to see what might be. Is it too crowded? What might be a good go around? What might be a good alternative path? What might be a little too high? So I think that's. And I do have one question. I'm not really the person to answer this. I don't know. In terms of the color scheme, um, do we know if this is going to be, offer anybody with sensory issues? I don't know. I'm just thinking about trying to make it accessible or not. You want to make it fun for kids, but has there been any feedback from people with, I'm just thinking about people for sensory issues or stuff like that.
I don't think sorry, go ahead, Max.
I was just going to say this particular design is totally conceptual, so we haven't thought that through to that level yet. I really used this rendering for a fundraising effort recently, but
yeah,
I like that idea of getting more feedback around the sort of sensory aspect and thinking about those with who might have visual challenges. I know for the design of the surfacing at Oakledge for All, that was something they were thinking through. So maybe I'll touch base with Oakledge for All and John and the design team there around, I think a lot of it was using gray and white textures, but then brighter colors, both for the frames of things as well as around the perimeter so that you can see when they're, or at least so it's easier to see when there's a change in material or a change in an edge or something like that.
So what limited knowledge I have of it that I know, I actually think this is quite good. I don't see anything super bright and loud. And I do, you have the yellow outline that kind of, for some people does that. I just don't know. It might be a good thing. I do know, with some people with sensory issues, if you have too much going on or too many colors or too much, that's when it might trigger something. So I do think it would be good to get some feedback from people about that. And Oakland's Row would be that I could also check with some people I know I'm just trying to think of people who may work with people who have, have issues with sensory issues, maybe even people with autism or epilepsy or some stuff like that. That might be some of the groups to go to.
Yeah, that would be really helpful feedback.
So
I
Sophie,
think- I
if you want, go ahead, Sophie.
Go ahead, Nate. It's okay.
I was going to say, if you want to try to get together some dates, throw out some dates to throw out to people, we can certainly try to arrange something in the foreseeable future. Obviously before the snow flies, which who knows how soon that could be. It could be 80 degrees next week. It could be 20 degrees next week. So
Yes. No, I can definitely do that. And
Oh.
I think it would be helpful going to the site and just understanding the constraints, but then if there are certain aspects of like a playground that are more desirable from an accessibility perspective, like if the swing is something that someone could transfer in or help someone transfer into, great. But if there are other pieces that are always missing in a playground or always an encumbrance, I think we're trying to just learn as much as we can.
My question is regarding the slide. What are the stairs leading up to it? Is it kind of like a wide step slide so people can get under, or is it like a super up direct slide? Because I am thinking about it, people could be able to bump up, and it might be easier to get kids onto the top of the slide if there's more like a wide step. Because I don't know if honestly, like I said, I haven't been on slide. I don't know if there's a way to make the getting up to the slide more easier for somebody with mobility issues.
Yeah, I think these, like I said, this is a conceptual rendering. So the exact model we'd end up using is probably may or may not end up being exactly this.
Yeah.
But I think for this particular structure I was looking at, those are relatively wide steps, like with at least, I think, 3 or more feet between this railing here and the inner structure. So a wide entrance. And then I think it's kind of like a spiraling thing. I don't have the dimensions on me, but I think it's closer to like 14 to 16 inches on this outer edge and narrowing down towards the inner edge of it. And relatively low height overall, like only 4 or 5 feet tall at the most.
I was going to say it doesn't look that tall, so even then maybe a parent could be able to help get their kids on the slide, and some things like that.
Well, I think these are great questions that can help us build into our request for proposals for this, because we can't say we want X, Y, and Z, but we can say it has to meet these specifications. So if we said we don't want, or that the stairs have to be so wide, more of a straight shot up or not, I think all these kind of questions you're asking, Nate, are leading us to those kinds of qualifiers that we'll put out with the RFP. And then it's up to the playground designer to meet those requirements. And then I think following that, it would be great if there was someone who would want to sit on the evaluation committee, because when the RFPs come in, our team reviews them and scores them. And to have that kind of outside perspective from our team would be super.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And then we'll have more real-time proposals versus conceptual ideas that we're throwing together, and we're not the manufacturer. So they may have come up with something totally different and evolved,
Any question? Anybody have any questions or comments for Max or Sophie regarding this conception? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Max.
And Sophie, did you have something else you wanted to discuss?
Yes, if I can share screen.
Yep, I will make you a host. I will add you on to the.
It looks like I am. So Oakridge Park, as you know, we are, can everybody see the site plan? It's maybe challenging to read because it's just a plan, but I'll show you more 3D rendering images in a second. So if you've been to Oakridge Park recently, there are 2 concrete pads along the greenway south of the Flynn intersection. One of those concrete pads is for a vendor that's usually the paddle surf vendor that sits there during the summer and rents out paddle boards. And then the second pad is meant for exercise equipment, like we have along the rest of the greenway at different intervals. And with Oakledge being one of the last ones that we're implementing and going with the theme at Oakledge of making everything universally accessible, we've been looking at equipment that's more universally accessible than in other parts of the greenway. And so we've come to start working with Compan that has some equipment that seems more universally designed, but I will preface this with saying we had to push them quite a bit to get to this point, just in terms of what is kind of stated as accessible versus what we see as accessible is, it can be quite different. Not to say that where we're at is perfect, but that's why I'd like to just get some feedback here on what we're thinking. So this is just a layout to give you an idea. These are magnetic balls. It's more of a, not kinetic, but what's all the rage these days? The cardio, Max is gonna help me.
CrossFit.
Thank you. Kind of tool. This is a kind of Tai Chi board, and this is a lay or a push up, and this is a leg or arm exerciser. Sorry, I don't have all the right words. So I'll show you the 3D rendering. It'll help a lot. I'll just reshare. Sorry about the words. I don't have them all for the kinds of equipment. So this, can everybody see? Okay. So here you have the idea of the bike path is next to it, which is the case in all the stations along the greenway. This is the hand exerciser. If you can see, the person is using it on the one side, and then there's a bench for someone to use it, not all obviously on the same time, but from the other side as well, and can be seated. Here you have that Tai Chi board. So it's like turning the Tai Chi and facing the lake. So hopefully it's a meditative experience. Here's it's not leg press. It's for your belly.
Sit up bench.
Thank you.
Core workout there.
Core workout. And you have these magnetic balls here. And then I have other kind of points of view of it. So you have an idea of that arm exercise, the kinetic balls, the core strength. And there you have a better view above there. And what we made sure of is that there was adequate spacing in between all of them so that someone who's either using a wheelchair or other mobility device can circulate without like feeling like you're going to bump into someone or get hurt, or a stroller or whatnot, because we're pretty near the playground here too. So that's where we're at. I think that's what the view is from above, kind of in the plan view with the kinetic bells, the Tai Chi. It's not called the Tai Chi, but that's what it feels like to me. The wax on, wax off kind of Karate Kid, if everybody's from the 90s. And the hand, the arm.
On Netflix now, apparently. So
there you go. Thank you. So just some thought, if anybody has any thoughts on those. Like I said, it's pretty challenging, unfortunately, to find any fitness equipment for the outdoors that's, for everybody. Hopefully these kind of start to get to that and allow a lot more flexibility of use than some of the other stations we've had or seen in terms of proposals. But I just wanted to get that in front of you and get your opinion before we get it all set up also to install in the spring. I'll stop sharing. I can put it back up if you want.
So I will say I was actually just at Miller Rec and I was looking at their outdoor workstation, and I think that's leagues better than what was at Miller Rec. Because Miller Rec had the hand cycle, which was really great, but a lot of the other things were bars that were kind of put close together or, kind of gaps. And there was really no way for somebody to get into mobility devices. So I'm seeing loads more there for somebody who's in a mobility device to go in. I'm very curious about the magnetic balls, which apparently you lift up like that. That's pretty cool. Not saying I'm Mr. Workout Man myself, but it may just motivate me to go out there. I guess the same thing goes is that and again, I know it's in interest stages, is really kind of opening that to get feedback from people who are workout. I'm thinking Patrick Standen. I'm thinking who is a wheelchair user in the Burlington area. I can certainly give you his contact information, Sophie.
That'd be
Um,
great.
and who knows, maybe even Kathy might be able to provide some feedback. She's a physical therapist. And I'm also thinking about Nancy Gell, who is a UVM student of PT that can give your feedback. But I like that loads more. I like that a lot, and it's a good way to integrate some things for different tools for different people. But that looked a lot more activities than the one that I just happened to go to on at Miller Rec. So overall, it looks good to me. But again, I think getting feedback from some people who actively do it. But again, I'm only talking about somebody from somebody who uses a wheelchair point of view. So I don't know what other accessibility filters we're looking at. But I can get you the information for some of those people to reach out to.
That'd be great. I think too, we were thinking about just age.
Yeah.
A lot of seniors come with their grandkids to the park. If their kids are old enough to go on the playground on their own, this is a great, instead of just sitting and watching, you can be active, and we don't want something that's too challenging. But
Yeah.
then again, my mom's 75, 73, I shouldn't age her, and she does all these things, but I don't. So you never know, but we wanted it to be challenging enough, but also have kind of that middle range of, if you
Yeah.
just want to do some relaxing waxing,
Yeah.
there's an option.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have those contacts, Nate, I'd love to run this by them.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else have anything? I did just want to add that we had last week, Sophie, we had a pretty productive meeting with Sophie where a few of us joined her down there taking a look at the beach, looking at adding additional accessibility padding for people with mobility devices, which I thought was really good. I brought the person who does adaptive kayaking, who could be very, very over enthusiastic. So she was throwing out a lot of ideas, but I thought a lot of good communication came out of that, and it was very cool because they were just starting doing the work on Oak Ridge. It was very cool seeing all the machinery out there, and props to Sophie because I know she's been applying for a lot of additional funding grants for stuff like that.
Yes,
I
if
just
you-
want to, oh,
ahead.
sorry, Sophie. I just wanted to say thanks. I just want to give you kudos because I know, as also not a person who's always doing the latest workouts, that it can be awkward to try and know all the names of the equipment, but thank you for persevering and trying to make that equipment that you might not know the name of it, but it doesn't matter. You don't have to know the name. We just have to make it accessible. And so thank you for trying to do that and really involving this community and beyond. I appreciate it. That's what we want to do more and more. So I really appreciate you modeling that.
Well, I can tell you from that meeting with Nate and Kathy down at the water, it was just so enlightening and eye-opening to what we thought would help, as the designers, but we realized there was a lot more pieces that we needed to add to the puzzle. So we'll be working on that as we go, but at least we have a good structure there to get, add to at this point.
That's
So-
great. And that's, oh, sorry,
Go
Nate,
ahead,
that's
go ahead,
exactly
go.
how I envision this committee working, like these are the real life things where we as the city, like clearly Sophie, you, Max, others, people were very well intentioned. We did our best, but without the lived experience, we don't know. And so, Nate, it's very generous for you and your friend and for you to provide those contacts for your friend who does work out, because that's what we need to make it better. So thank
Yeah.
you. I feel like things are, that's how we improve things. And so this is a good venue. It sometimes I was like, I don't have anything to add. I don't know. Should I even come to this meeting? Did I even do my homework? But, it's like us coming together and just every person doing their little piece here. So it is making a difference. So thanks to everyone who is doing their little piece, or sometimes a big piece.
Yeah. I think it's good, but like I said, I'm like one viewpoint because I want to make sure we get other viewpoints. Because I was just thinking about what Sophie was saying about seniors is one thing that kind of popped, and I don't want to like add issue is that there's almost no place for somebody to sit if they can't really come and they need some bit. So how would it be able to integrate a sitting thing where if a senior needs to come and sit down on something? So I think you can't make a perfect solution. That's why it's kind of good getting different feedback from different people to see what may work and what may not work. Um, so that's very cool. Um, okay. Any questions about any of the playgrounds? Any other perspectives anybody wants to bring up regarding what may be accessible or not? Um, yeah, Laura. Yeah, I'd like to hear what Laura's thoughts are.
I just want to make sure that the playground, is there a map with a legend in Braille that explains what's there at the playground? Yeah.
So I was just talking to my intern about that today. We're going to look into different ways that we can incorporate Braille or a 3D potential, just see what's been done in other places for someone to be able to read a map who has sight impairment. And then she was also looking into what kind of interpretive signage we can have that could help any cognitive challenges, know what's going on in the playground in the park, as part of the universal accessible mission vision for Oakridge. So if you have any great examples,
Thank you.
we would welcome seeing anything you've encountered that really works.
I actually may. I'll have to look around a bit, but I'll put that on my to-do list.
Yeah, Sophie, is that Dora you're having reach out to do that work?
Well, yes, Dora has been looking into the cognitive side. And then we were talking about how we've had a request for the waterfront park sign. So I was going to send her some of that information as well, because just so everybody else on the call knows, we've had someone submit a request to Penny for Parks for a sign at Waterfront Park in Braille. So they've quoted a vendor, I believe, so we could also use that as a kind of jumping point for that.
Great. Okay, so if there's nothing else, I guess I only go to the next part I added to the thing, and just something to think about. We had potential trainings, and I only bring that up because I know one of the ideas we had when we put this committee together was to try to provide. I know we put up talking about putting up materials on the websites for training. We talked about HR trainings, and we talked about trainings to community. And I do think that now that we have some people here, we have a budget, that maybe we might want to talk about the idea about having a training or a workshop to the general public or something sometime in the future. Maybe pick 2 times, maybe either in the later in the fall or winter, or time in the spring, or maybe spring or summer, to try to get some of those in the books, to try to get some of that And we can work with some other agency to do that. But I do think that would be a good thing that now we have some organization behind us. And I think that would just be, thinking about the types of training or types of presentations that we could do to the general public to try to, I think, also kind of help, kind of help put this committee on the map, let them know we're around, what we're doing, but also provide some useful trainings that we may think the committee, the community may want. And maybe that's just general ADA trainings, or maybe that's something a little more specific, or service dogs, um, or different things like that, or maybe just having a feedback session from the community, having like an open house or something, and inviting people. So that's the only reason I put that down, because it was one part of our initial plans that we released to the mayor's office, and I just wanted to open up that idea to people, what they think. I'm trying to see if we can send a tentative date to put one due and what we may want to discuss. Something. Winter's kind of a pain for people. I know, obviously, with the weather, with virtual stuff happening, that's always easier. We could do it for the spring or early summer. I just want to get people's thoughts on what they're worried about that. Anything.
I know it's really basic, but I think it's always good to start with a foundational like ADA 101, because I think sometimes people are afraid of asking questions that they believe that they
Yeah.
assume they should know. So I think something like that for the community is wise. And simultaneously, I think a similar training for internal city staff is a good idea. And like I've offered before, I'm in charge in the NeoGov system. So if we have polished content, I can help get that designed and launch it through our tool for employees. And I think
Okay.
for our customer service related roles, I think they really want that information so they can do their roles more effectively. And I know a part of that relates to the language access plan, which Ethan and team is working on, but just thinking about in those realms and who it can affect and how we can support the community in that way.
Yeah, I definitely think I like starting off with general, and maybe even then, as we do these general, getting feedback, maybe then we might find more specific things we focus on. Maybe people might want more information on, housing, or might want housing on some stuff like that. So I love the idea of doing a general ADA, and I'm actually wondering if, trying to put materials on, maybe it could be something we kind of set in the books to do something like a spring training. Let me know if I'm thinking too far ahead, Vanessa, but try to do something like for April or something where we can kind of work on something, put something together. Maybe the weather will be starting to get nice out. We can maybe book a training for one, and then also work on some internal trainings for something, for some people. I'm just trying to think about, that would give us some time to really work and plan and get the materials together, for that. Kind of think out the logistics of that to put together, training, and we can certainly go back and forth, either outside these meetings or at the meetings, to kind of tie down what exactly we want, on different sections. Does that sound too far out? I mean, I don't want to make everything too ambitious, but also too, I'm just thinking give us some times over to do kind of like a spring thing.
I personally don't think it's too far out. I think the earlier we plan, the better, because things in life
Yeah.
happen in my experience.
Okay.
Time
Okay.
gets away faster than we think.
Okay. And then the other thing, I know this isn't our committee related, Sophie, I know you have your hand up, but it would be nice if we, I don't think our committee would have to do it, but something with the Oakland, if parks start to open up, it would be very good to get this committee, kind of, we don't have to hold it, but kind of do something where we're all there helping do it. And Sophie, I don't know if you already have your hands up for that purpose or not, but yeah.
I did. And Nate, you're going to need to go to the Mystical Market at Oakledge on Friday, because I think you read my mind. I think with the opening of the playground, we're hoping early summer. It would be great to tag in some information, like for people who don't understand why this is a big deal, that we could give tours or something related to all the kind of thinking that went behind the design of the playground and just the overall spaces at Oakledge. I'd be really thrilled if we could, piggyback on that already.
I have a machine going here. So yeah, maybe we could turn something into a series of events. Maybe we could turn in thing like starting this spring, do it like leading up to stuff. But I do think that would be a good idea. So we can certainly look at some dates and figure out. I am thinking, sometimes in the spring, just because winter is just so rare, to get these things arranged, but give us some time to put things together and discuss what can be done externally and internally. Um, okay, so we are at 3:55. I think we've had some good discussions here. And I think we are scheduled to meet the third Monday of November, which is November 21st, which I know is along that funky. I'm actually off the 23rd, but I will be available. But if we can keep it, but if let me know if we're going to keep it in the books. But if people say they let me know sooner than later, if people have conflicts, they're going to be off, and we can decide whether it'd be worth it to have a meeting then or not. Okay, Laura will not be able to attend. Okay. Okay. Does it involve cooking a turkey all day? No. Okay.
No, I wish, but no. It's related to my program at the University of Vermont and CAPS. So it's just, it's a leadership skills event all day. That's what.
And Laura, speaking of that, if you have
I've
any
heard of
ideas about helping with this training, that we're doing, talk about doing in April, it's great to get your involvement in it as well.
Well, in terms of the parks specifically or general training?
I'm talking about holding a training session, doing a training session, even if it are great trainings, but I'm talking about if we're doing a training, getting your involvement and, providing a training.
Oh, sure. Count me in.
Okay. All right, everyone.
Oh, this Laura, can I just add one thing? Watch the news tonight. I was just interviewed about over-the-counter hearing aids.
Oh yeah.
So tonight at 6 o'clock on NBC Channel 5.
NBC. Gotcha. Yeah, it's very exciting news.
I just added a page about that on my website as well, so that people understand the difference between a prescription hearing aid versus an over-the-counter hearing aid, because
Yeah.
I've already seen confusion by people about the difference, and got to get this clarified.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right, everyone. Good to see you. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Thanks. Oh.